Somewhere in northeastern Nigeria, 416 human beings are being held at gunpoint. Mothers, children, grandmothers, babies who cannot yet speak. And as of April 19, 2026, their captors have given the Nigerian government a deadline. 72 hours. Pay 5 billion naira or every single one of them dies. This is not a film. This is not a rumor. This is happening right now in Borno State, Nigeria. And if you have never heard of the town called Noshe, by the end of this video, you will never forget it. It started in the evening of March 3rd, 2026. Noshe is a quiet, small town in the Woza local government area of Borno State, sitting near the foot of the Mandara Mountains. What made Noshe special was not its size. What made it special was its story. These were people who had already survived war. Families who had been chased from their homes years earlier by insurgents, lived in displacement camps, and then bravely, hopefully, returned home. They came back to Noshe because they believed the danger had passed. They believed the worst was behind them. It was the holy month of Ramadan. Families had just broken their fast for the evening, mothers were clearing food from the table, children were settling in for the night, elderly men were sitting together after prayers. And then, without warning, Boko Haram came. The attackers did not come quietly. They arrived in large numbers, heavily armed, and they moved with terrifying coordination. They hit the military base first, the 82 Division Task Force Battalion, overwhelming the soldiers stationed there before storming directly into the community. They also attacked an internally displaced persons camp nearby where some of the most vulnerable residents were sheltering. Soldiers fought back, but the sheer number of attackers was too great. The insurgents broke through. In a video they later released themselves, their leader spoke without shame or hesitation. He said, and I want you to hear these words clearly, he said, "We have slaughtered them, abducted their women and children and enslaved them. They are our lawful property." Lawful property. That is how they described 416 human beings as property. Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, representing Borno South, confirmed that an unspecified number of civilians and soldiers were killed that night. Thousands of people who managed to escape fled on foot to the neighboring community of Porka. One resident, Malam Umar, described the scene. Mothers crying and searching for their children, children wandering alone looking for their parents, entire families torn apart in a single evening. If you are watching this and you feel something tightening in your chest right now, that is the right response. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Stories like this one need to reach as many Nigerians as possible, and your support is what makes that happen. For weeks after the attack, very little was confirmed publicly. Early reports put the number of those abducted at over 100, but the real number was far greater, and the families of the missing had almost no information about whether their loved ones were alive or dead. Then, on April 10th, 2026, a video surfaced and it shook the nation. The Boko Haram faction, which identifies itself as Jama'atu Ali-Sunna Lidawati wal Jihad, released footage that provided what they called proof of life. In it, 416 captives were shown on camera, surrounded by heavily armed gunmen, some of whom had covered their faces while others appeared unmasked. The captives were mostly women and children, with a small number of men visible as well. Several of them were allowed to speak. One woman, speaking carefully and choosing every word as though her life depended on it, because it did, said that they were alive, that the sick among them had been given some medicine, and that children who arrived without clothing had been given something to wear. She said they had food and a place to sleep. And then, With armed men standing around her, she looked into that camera and begged the Nigerian government to bring them home. Think about the courage it takes to do that. To sit in captivity, surrounded by the people who took you from your family, and still find the strength to speak, not just for yourself, but for 415 other people sitting beside you. This footage was produced by request from a group called the Borno South Youths Alliance, or BOSIA, which had been working quietly behind the scenes as a mediator between the terrorist group and the affected families. Their president, Samaila Ibrahim Kaigama, confirmed that his organization had been engaged in careful, sensitive negotiations in an effort to secure the release of the captives without further bloodshed. Now, then came April 19th, 2026, the day everything escalated. Boko Haram sent a final warning video through the mediation channel. The message was blunt and brutal. They had been patient long enough, they said. They were giving the Nigerian government 72 hours to respond to their demands, which included a ransom of 5 billion naira. If those demands were not met within the deadline, they would move the captives to an unknown location and execute them. 5 billion naira. That's the number they attached to the lives of 416 mothers, children, grandmothers, and babies. Bosia immediately went public with the ultimatum, calling on President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and Governor Babagana Umara Zulum to act with urgency. And they also appealed to prominent Nigerian philanthropists, including Aliko Dangote and Abdul Samad Rabiu, to step forward and assist in whatever way possible, because the clock was running and every hour mattered. Now, if this story feels painfully familiar, you're not alone. Because Nigeria has been here before, and the memory of it has never fully healed. On the night of April 14th, 2014, exactly 12 years before this video, Boko Haram entered the government secondary school in Chibok, another community in Borno State, and abducted 276 schoolgirls in one of the most shocking acts of mass kidnapping the world had ever seen. The outcry was global. The hashtag #BringBackOurGirls trended across every country. World leaders spoke, celebrities posted, protests were held. And yet, more than a decade later, approximately 82 of those Chibok girls have still never come home. The connection between Chibok and Ngoshe is not just geographic, it's a pattern. The same region, the same tactics, the same ideology, the same deliberate targeting of the most vulnerable, women and children. The same community that had survived one wave of violence, tried to rebuild, and then was struck again. In Ngoshe specifically, many of those taken were people who had been displaced before and had only recently returned home, drawn back by the hope that things were finally getting better. That hope was used against them. But here's something important, because this story is not only about tragedy, it's also about resilience and the capacity of ordinary Nigerians to fight back. On March 30th, 2026, less than a month after the Ngoshe abduction, Nigerian troops escorting civilians in Borno came under attack by insurgents who were attempting another mass abduction. The soldiers responded swiftly, engaged the attackers, pursued them, and rescued over 150 civilians who had been targeted. Every single one of those rescued individuals was safely reunited with their family. That's proof of when the response is fast, when the decision makers act with the urgency the moment demands, lives are saved. The Nigerian military has shown what it is capable of. The question being asked by every Nigerian watching this is simple. Will that same speed and determination be applied to the 416 people of Ngoshe? So where does this leave us right now? The 72-hour deadline that Boko Haram issued on April 19th is active. Negotiations are ongoing through Bosia. The government has been called upon to act, and 416 people, most of them women and children, are waiting to find out whether Nigeria will show up for them. This channel cannot negotiate ransoms. We cannot deploy soldiers. But what we can do, what you can do right now in the next 30 seconds, is refuse to let this story be buried. Share this video. Send it to someone who has not heard about Moshe. Talk about it. Post about it. Make it impossible for decision makers to pretend that nobody is watching. To the 416 people of Moshe, Nigeria sees you, Nigeria hears you, and Nigeria must not fail you. If this story moved you, please like this video. It helps more people find it. And if you are not already subscribed, now is the time. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because we'll be following this story as it develops and bringing you every update as it happens.